This is going to be a short video, although an important one, and took more than a little while to make it. Anyways, what we're going to talk about is triggers. I'm going to use the Baker database, and the first thing I'm going to do is print off all the customers in the database, and then what I'm going to do is create a trigger. Now, when you first create a trigger, you have to change what the delimiter is that's used to mark the end of a statement. So in this case, I'm going to change the delimiter to 2 slashes, and you'll notice at the end of this create trigger command, that is the delimiter that's used, and right afterwards we change the delimiter back to a semicolon. Alright, so I'm going to create a trigger. It's going to be called add customer, and this trigger is going to be based on an insert command. So if you're modifying a table, then you can create triggers based on the kind of modification that's done. So in this case, I'm looking out for inserts done to add customer, and anytime an insert is going to happen, in this case before the insert is done, then this trigger is going to be executed. What we're working on is an insert into orders, and for each, you have to have, this is a mandatory part of the command, for each row in orders, we're going to, well, we have a begin end block, and well, these begin ends should be lined up. I didn't notice that. This begin end block is used if you're going to have more than one command in here. And in this case, what I'm going to do is look at, so this is the new thing that's being inserted. I'm going to check to see if this customer ID is one of the customers already made. Okay, so if it isn't, sorry, if there's no such customer already in the customers table, then I'm going to insert the customer in there. Now, this isn't really the way you should do things. If the customer hasn't been created yet when you place the order, then what you should do is call some kind of routine that allows the end user to type in the information about the customer, but I'm trying to keep this kind of simple. So all we're going to do is insert a customer into the customer's table. In this case, I'm going to call it Sally Subs, and then that's going to be the end of it. Okay, now what I'm going to do down here is insert to the orders new customer. In this case, I'm going to make it customer number 11. So this is a customer that doesn't exist yet, and they're going to order 100 sugar cookies. And then when I'm done executing this insert, I'm going to print out all the customers again. And then we got the drop trigger. That's because every time I run this thing, when you do the create trigger, it says the trigger already exists, and you can't quite as simply do the create trigger if not exist trick. Alright, so this is just supposed to be a quick demo of the fact that triggers exist. We're not going to do a full-blown demonstration on triggers. This is basically going to be it, letting you know that there are triggers, that you can use them to do things. A lot of times a trigger is used when an insert is done to just keep a record of the fact that an insert was done. So maintaining logs for the database. But there's a lot of information out there on triggers. We could spend weeks on it. We're not gonna do that. This is gonna be it. So let's go ahead and run this and hope it doesn't blow up. Well, let's see. Let's go down here and check. Where's my? All right. So we got all green bars. That's good. And let's take a look at the customers here. Okay, so we already had a Sally Subs in here. I had made the Sally Subs because I'd run this before as a practice. Maybe I should have changed this to something else. But we go over here and we see that there's now a second Sally Sub, and the second time we printed out the customer database, and that is because initially there was no customer with an ID of 11. Actually, there still isn't one with an ID of 11 because we're only up to 6. But that's basically how a trigger works. You can, again, anytime that you are updating a database, you can have a trigger check to make sure that the update that you're doing has valid data in it. You can make sure that other tables are updated, and you can run logs. So a very useful tool.